everyone! Hope you're having an amazing day. It's Code Karen. Welcome to r/Am I the A-hole, where we have an incredible story with comments. If you're new to this channel, a sub would be great. Let's jump to the story. Am I the a-hole for no longer allowing my sister to work in my daycare business after she went psycho on one of my clients? Hello, let me introduce myself. I am a 32-year-old widow, and I lost my husband 3 years ago. I struggled a lot financially after his passing. I didn't get any help from my family because they claimed they didn't have the resources, so I decided to start a home daycare business. It's been open for 9 months now. I was lucky because I had a friend that was able to get me a number of clients via Facebook. Thank goodness my business is growing and doing great. I've made a lot of new friends who are moms, and I've established a very good reputation because of super positive recommendations. My sister is 26 and was unemployed for several weeks. She had difficulty finding a job and had issues paying for her rent for her and her boyfriend. My parents pressured me to let her come work for me at my daycare center because she did have some past experience working with children. I agreed to hire her so she could start earning some money to cover her bills. My sister got along with the other workers, and things were going fine until she came to me one day and asked about a specific child that came to my daycare. He's 4 and very well behaved for his age. She said she saw his father come to pick him up, and she didn't feel comfortable because he's a police officer. Some time ago, she had an unpleasant incident with the police because of something her boyfriend did, and she spent some time with a psychologist in therapy. I didn't know a lot about this, but it seemed kinda serious. I listened to her complaint, but it did not justify taking any action on my part. I was confused about what exactly she was asking me to do about this. Here's a little history on this client. The father promptly arrives at 3 p.m. every day to pick his child up. From what I understand, his wife is sick and can't drive. From what all the women on the staff tell me, he is an ideal child with a very caring father. However, my sister thinks otherwise and wants me to cancel his registration and tell the father to look for another daycare. I refused and told her point blank, no. I have no valid reason to cancel this child's membership from my daycare. My sister refused to drop it, and I heard from the staff that she started to be very confrontational and rude to the father. This was so unprofessional and reflected very poorly on a business that I had worked so hard to build. I told her to check her attitude and either be respectful or I won't have her working at my daycare anymore. I thought this was resolved until 2 days ago. My sister sent an email to the father telling him we won't be welcoming his child at the daycare anymore. He came to talk to me about the email and I was livid. He couldn't understand why because he never received a bad report from me or my staff, and his son loves being here because he's met so many friends. He said that it is such a relief to have him here because it's close to his work and his wife is not well enough to care for him. I told him that this was an unfortunate misunderstanding and his son can remain with us. As soon as I saw my sister, I took her aside and basically fired her on the spot. I told her she's no longer going to work at my daycare because of her unprofessional behavior. We got into a huge argument, and she left after saying I was being unsupportive and heartless, using some very colorful curse words. My parents called me and said I shouldn't have fired my sister because now she is going to lose her apartment. They went on to say that I have no sympathy for my sister's trauma and family should come before business. Everyone shamed me and claimed my priorities were messed up. I did feel bad that she was now struggling without a job, but I have a business to protect. Just because she has unresolved issues with the police doesn't mean that I am supposed to enable this behavior. Sorry, not going to happen. I think my family forgets that I am a widow and this business is my life. No one knows more and cares more for people who have difficulties and struggles than me. I understand that she is my younger sister, but treating people with disrespect is unacceptable. One thing to clarify. My sister's boyfriend is no contact with my family due to, quote, issues. However, my parents said they want to be very supportive of my sister, even though they do not approve of the relationship with her boyfriend. That's why they keep pressuring me to help and support her. Am I the a-hole for choosing my business over my sister? Let's head to the comments. Zenafire says, you could have lost your entire business because of what she did, and I believe you gave her plenty of love and support. Obviously, the therapy didn't work because she was delusional and unreasonable to believe that just because this innocent child had a father in law enforcement, that you were going to punish him for that. She could have excused herself when the police officer picked up his child, and then she'd never have to come into contact with him. Instead, she went behind your back and messaged him with the "you're not welcome here" email. Your sister got exactly what she deserves. Claire Not a Bear says, from someone who strongly believes in right versus wrong, you are not the a-hole. It's obvious that your sister was not the best person to interact directly with this particular dad. She is putting her own issues on an innocent child for what she believes, correctly or not, are the sins of the father. There is no reason for her to have any negative feelings toward this child, or choose who is worthy to be at the daycare based upon a parent's profession. Emergency Yard 6009 says, your sister has stepped so beyond the line that the line is now a dot to her. She isn't the owner of the daycare. You are. How dare she hijack the role of owner and start making executive decisions? Today it's, let's get rid of this kid. And tomorrow, she could take decision making to some new dangerous level. It's obvious that her judgment is screwed up. The correct way to approach this would have been to take herself out of the situation when the kid's parent comes to pick him up. This way, she wouldn't be triggered. The fact that your sister and your family asked that you jeopardize your business is just sheer BS. One Without Winter says, not the a-hole. You're running a business and it's your job to be professional. There was no professional reason why that child shouldn't be allowed to attend your daycare. Not to mention the fact that if you had canceled his membership like your sister wanted, other parents would have found out, and there goes your reputation. Not to mention a potential lawsuit if he could prove discrimination based on his profession. If your sister was working anywhere else, she wouldn't receive any sort of special treatment, and her actions were extremely inappropriate, so she would have definitely been fired. You did what anyone else would have done, but your family is trying to guilt you because she's your sister. Totally not fair. Having said that, your sister has experienced some sort of trauma, and it's natural to want to support her. There were definitely better ways for her to handle the situation. She could have told you how uncomfortable it made her to deal with that child's parent, and someone else could have handled those interactions. But sending an email like that without your permission crosses a line, and you shouldn't feel guilty about drawing a line between appropriate and inappropriate behavior at your business, family or no family. Just Need a Name 154 says, seriously? Your sister needs to grow up and deal with whatever life throws at her. I see this as a good opportunity for her to seek out therapy again in order to work on why she is triggered by law enforcement. And who knows? Maybe her trauma may very well be connected to her boyfriend's poor decisions. If she refused to get professional help, then she should have looked for a different job. Just an FYI, she is limiting her job options if she refuses to interact with an entire group of people. She basically insisted that you remove an innocent child from daycare. You lose a client and that steady stream of income, and you damage your reputation. This is atrocious. Your family didn't help you when you really needed them when your husband passed, but you helped them out when they reached out to you. And now they have the audacity to say that your sister has the right to destroy your livelihood? You don't deserve that disrespectful treatment, and I personally would be low contact or no contact. Your sister lost her apartment for a series of poor choices. That's on her and not on you. Daydreamer Fly says, not the a-hole. Her trauma could be 100% legitimate, but she's essentially discriminating against a toddler because of the profession that the father chose. What's worse is that this daycare is not her business. It's yours. You built it from nothing into something special. She had absolutely no authority to send that email, and she would be immediately fired from any other job, regardless if she thinks her issues are legitimate. Her options were 1. Deal with it, and maybe get some more professional therapy focusing on the issue. 2. Ask you if there is another task she could focus on when he picks the child up. Or 3. Just quit if it bothers her that much. You were right to fire her. If you didn't, your family would have the control, not you. And Angel says, at first I thought, sure, she has issues because of a bad experience. Let's be a bit lenient in judgment here. She even went to her sister boss and voiced her concerns like a reasonable person. though the request was hardly reasonable. But your sister went from 0 to 60 in less than a second. What she did was not just disrespectful to you and your business, but also to the police officer and his son. You gave your sister a chance and warned her to put her attitude and actions in check, but she sent that email anyway. You were being supportive. You were being more than understanding, especially when you found out that she was being rude to one specific client and did not fire her because of that conduct. Does everyone that has shamed you know what she did and why? You did not force her to interact with the father. All she had to do was to be pleasant. You have a very entitled sister that has not learned to navigate uncomfortable situations. It's called the real world. It's not a foreign concept. Narangham says, not the a-hole. Ask any employee how their employer would react if they canceled a contract or business arrangement with a client behind their boss's back. They'd be fired in an instant. In this instance, you were the employer and your sister was the employee. She had zero authority to dismiss someone without cause from your daycare, but did it anyway. Think about this. She put you in the difficult position of having to fire her. You seem very fair and direct, and would have fired any of your employees if they pulled the same stunt. CW Twitch Witch says, trauma doesn't mean you get special permission to control the behavior of everyone around you. I totally get why your sister was uncomfortable because I've been in similar situations, but she handled it so poorly. She had no authority to reach out to the dad, and she 100% jeopardized your business's reputation because of her actions. She went behind your back because she is selfish and entitled. You are totally justified, not the a-hole. By the way, you aren't the cause behind her loss of income. She is. Her actions have consequences, and she probably thought that you wouldn't fire her because you were her sister. Well, newsflash, you did. TK Columbia says, she is not your sister in this instance. She is one of your employees. An employee who did not like your response to her complaint, so she went behind your back to create a problem with a client. Is this an employee who should keep their position? Heck no. Individuals are more than a job description or title. Your sister needs to get over herself, and your family needs to butt out of your business. Denim Stew says, let me get this straight. The same family who refused to help you financially when you became a widow are now telling you what to do with your business and your money? That's crazy. Also, your sister is messed up. I thought at first it was a bad experience with this particular police officer, but upon rereading, she has an aversion to police in general. Let me give you a for instance. Let's say that you did cave into your sister's demands and cancel the daycare membership because of the father's profession as a police officer. What would happen if you turn up to work one morning and you've been burglarized? Does this mean that you can't call the police because of your sister's trauma? Give me a break. No wonder this woman is unemployed. Don't get me started about the boyfriend who is not welcome in the family's home. It sounds like this sister has more than just issues with a police uniform. She has issues with poor decision making. I hope she straightens herself out one day. She needs some tough love, and it sounds like you were the only one that truly cares enough about her to give her some tough love. Congratulations on pulling yourself up after the loss of your husband. You are an inspiration. Hey Code Karen community, I hope you enjoyed this story. Let me know if there was something said in one of the comments that you really liked. See you in the next story.